Alright, so a few weeks ago I was tagged by the BookTube goddess for a tag called the Dilemmas of a Book Nerd tag, and the reason I was tagged was because I was called a nerd. I'm kind of not sure what to think about that. I've never really intentionally given off like nerd vibes. I don't really see... Is it that obvious? Anyway, thanks to BookTube Goddess for tagging me in this tag. Also, shout out to another booktuber who uses a green screen. Green screen power. So here are the dilemmas of a book nerd. I'm a new book nerd. Let's see how relevant it is for me. Dilemma number 1. How do you store and organize your books? Most of my books are digital. I have, if we're including all books here, I have a lot of my tabletop. Yeah, fine, I'm a nerd. I have a lot of my tabletop, Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder, Edge of the Empire, other version of Dungeons & Dragons, other version of fine, those are on a shelf, one shelf by themselves. I have most of my other books on like 2 other sections of shelf because I have very few physical books. Almost all of my books at this point are digital. I like to get the digital version of like the Kindle version and also the audiobook version of most of them so I can read through them as fast as possible. They're all stored digitally. Dilemma number 2, tracking. How do you keep track of what you read and what books you own? I created a Goodreads shelf so I could actually mark what books I own and what books I own where. So whether I have them digitally on Audible or whether I have them physical and whether or not I've read them or not. That's all on Goodreads. I think everybody uses Goodreads. I also keep an additional spreadsheet where I keep track of a lot of things because Goodreads database is hard to kind of mine some of that stuff. So I have my own spreadsheet for that and numerous other things in my life. Fine, I'm a nerd! Dilemma number 3, borrow. Do you lend your books out? If I have a physical book, I'd lend it to someone. I have offered people in my family, I don't know if they're allowed to do this, but I've offered people in my family the ability to log into my stuff if they wanted to read something I own. My wife and I share an account, of course. I have a confession to make here publicly, though I don't think it will ever be seen by anybody else, which is I have had books highly recommended by people before to the point where they literally said, you need to borrow this book, and they've given it to me. They were coworkers, and then they left the job. And I never gave those books back. I have some books that I've never given back that I've had for years. Dilemma number 4. How do you acquire your books? Sometimes a library. Like I said before, mostly I buy Kindle books and Audible books. Though I love to go to Half Price Books and peruse the aisles. And my temptation is too strong many times and I'll end up picking something up. Even though I barely have time for reading physical books, I also do this at like any thrift store. Dilemma number 5, comments. How do you respond to people asking, how do you read so much, or other similar comments? The truth is, I don't have other hobbies. Sometimes my wife thinks this is a bit nerdy, but when I get into a hobby, I don't do crap halfway. I do crap whole way. I basically don't do anything in my free time except read and booktube at this point. I watch booktube videos, I make booktube videos, I read. I don't really watch a lot of TV. I don't play video games anymore this year. I have not listened to much music, which is a huge passion of mine. I've done very little except read, and when you don't do anything else except read, you can read a lot more books. Dilemma number 6. How do you pick what to read next? I generally just go for a vibe thing. I'm a little bit of a mood reader, is that what they call it? If I finish a massive, giant, taxing book, I'll pick something quick and easy. If I pick a book that I hate and end up reading a book that I don't like, I'll pick one that I'm pretty sure I'm going to love. And if I read something that I just absolutely loved, I usually try to explore some horizons after that, take a risk. Dilemma number 7, travel. How do you pick what books you bring on vacation with you? I haven't been on vacation since I started reading, though I'm about to have a baby. I'm not going anywhere, but I will be taking time off from work and maybe from BookTube, probably from BookTube. We'll see. I don't know what I'll pick. Probably just the same things that fit along with what I'm doing, though I may pick something quicker and easier to pick up than something huge and epic if I have little time to read. I don't really take vacations where I can read a lot. Most of the vacations I take are exclusively to visit friends or family, and we spend a lot of time together instead of reading. I have small children, so I can't read and travel. That's just how it is for me. Dilemma number 8, annotate. Do you highlight or make notes on your books in any way? Sometimes on Kindle, I will highlight good quotes. If I'm reading at the time, if I'm listening to the audiobook, I can't. I don't have any physical books that I've ever written in. I love to see when other people do that. I think that idea is so cool. I myself have never done that or tried to do that. Dilemma number 9, new or backlist books. It really just depends. Maybe because I gamed for so long and I've cared about video games my whole life, and a lot of that is built on playing games when they're hot and when they're newly released. I still like to do that, and for 2019, even though I started reading halfway through the year, I made it a priority to read a lot of books that came out that year, the big hot books. I like to know what's popular and some of the more underground stuff, so a mixture of both. There's also a buttload of books that I've never read that I want to read from past times. So yeah, just probably a mixture of both, sometimes half and half, depending on the mood. Dilemma number 10, and the final dilemma, sequels. Do you read books as they're released, or do you wait for the entire series to be out before you read them? I read them as they're released. That, for me, especially the habits that I've gotten into with reading right now, I don't read series back to back anyway. I'll read a book in a series and then read other books because I feel like it makes, like, it was intended to be read with some space in between. It took the author time to write in between. It took other people time to read the books when it was published with space in between. So for me, I don't read series back to back anyway, so I have no problem waiting with everybody else and reading books as they're released. That was a fun tag. Now I'd like to tag some other BookTube friends that I've made recently. First off, Fictional Linguist, consider yourself tagged. This is a new BookTube channel that I found. Guy that's super interesting. He sounds like he's going to be a great member of the community. I tag you and I want to see what your answers are to these questions. Next up, Kristen and her books. She does a little bit of AuthorTube, she does a little BookTube, and we've recently been talking about books together. We recently found each other, and she's a lot of fun and a great member of this community. She does a lot of the stuff that I like to do, which is kind of emotionally charged reviews. I really respect that. It's something that I'm trying to do myself. I tag you and I want to see your answers to these questions. And lastly, I'm going to tag Madison Green. This is another channel that's been around for a little bit that I'm just finding myself. She has a great personality and she is enthusiastic and happy to talk about books, and I love watching her videos, even if we don't always read the same books. Madison Green, consider yourself tagged. I want to see your answers to these books. I don't think you've done this tag. I looked through your videos and I found lots of other tags that you've done, but I don't think this one was on there, so consider yourself tagged. Thank you again for the tag BookTube Goddess. The video that I was tagged in is down below. I will also tag the other channels for the people who I tagged, if that makes any sense. I hope your 2020 is starting off awesome. I love you guys. Thanks for coming. I hope to see you again soon. Bye.
I must confess that my loneliness is killing me now. Don't you know I still believe that you will be here and give me a sign?